The three types of debt most people face are credit card debt, mortgage, and student loans. Out of those three, two could be worth it. The student loan, for example, could be a good debt depending on the measure that you're taking and its value in the marketplace, because the value obtained from that education can appreciate with time. The income you will generate from that education will definitely outweigh the cost of the debt. You could also have your parent pay for your education if they can afford it, if you want to avoid this debt. But then again, I still believe that taking a loan is the best course of action, because that money could be sitting on the S&P 500 generating 8 to 10% a year, which is higher than the average cost of debt, which is 5.8%. So we're talking about a difference of 3 to 5% depending on your education. That can go a long way if we're talking about a cost of education of 50 to 100,000 pounds over 4-year courses, depending on your measure. But then there's the issue of accountability and responsibility. Should you let your parent pay for your student loan, knowing that you will be the one benefiting from that education? You will be receiving that salary, not your parent. So should you let your parent pay for your student loan? One important benefit that a lot of people fail to mention is the relationship that you build when you are at university. Some of those relationships might translate into you being a phone call away from your next job. You can put a price on that. You also need to be taking in consideration the various salary increases that you'll be getting year after year for working at those companies, and the career development that you'll be benefiting from. This is why deciding what measure to embark on can make the difference between succeeding in the job marketplace or being crippled with student loan. This is where research and self-awareness become really important. So you have to be self-aware enough to know what you want to do and overlap it with what pays well in the marketplace. Somewhere in the middle will be your sweet spot. The second type of debt, which could be a good debt, is the mortgage. It can be deemed as a necessary expense because we can equate that to a rent payment, although it is more expensive. I do not consider owning a house where you're gonna be living in as an investment, because it is taking money out of your pocket. An investment pays you money, not the reverse. However, this topic is charged with so much emotion that people tend not to apply logic. They see owning a house as having a peace of mind. They see owning a house as a place where they spend time with their family and their loved ones, which makes perfect sense, and that you can put a price on. But when you look at this in financial terms, owning a house is actually a liability. The good news is some house can sometimes appreciate with time. So if later down the line you decide to downsize, to leave a 2-bedroom flat or 3-bedroom flat because you had kids and they've all gone to uni, to take a smaller place, you might benefit from an appreciation in the house value. But as I said before, paying a mortgage can equate to making a rent payment. Therefore, if you have a good credit score, you will have secured a cheaper interest rate on the mortgage, allowing you to save up to £200,000 over a 30-year mortgage. The last type of debt is the credit card debt, which is the bad one. There is no benefit in not paying your balances in full and on time on your credit cards. Most people do not spend time preparing a budget and sticking to it, and therefore end up purchasing items on the whim, which are completely unnecessary. In many cases, most people do not buy things for themselves. They are willing to get themselves into debt just to impress the people that they do not care about. Somehow we crave other people's validation to the extent that we're willing to make stupid decisions. The funny thing is, we all know what to do to tackle our debt issue. Looking at our spending pattern for the past 3 months and cutting out what is unnecessary. Setting up a limit to our credit card that equates to our monthly budget. Then setting up an automatic payment that will pay your balances in full and on time. Since it's that easy, how come most people do not implement it? The answer is the root cause is deeper than that. Number 1, the comparison problem. Most people have credit card debt, so it's easy to think that you're not alone. So you compare yourself with others and get comfort in that position. Interestingly, the worse situation we are in, the more we look for others in a worse situation to reassure ourselves that we're not really that bad. It doesn't change or improve our situation, but it makes us feel better about ourselves. The second issue is the normalization. Some people will say paying interest is just like paying any other expense. You couldn't be more wrong. We have normalized our action instead of tackling the real issue. And this happens even with people who understand how interest rate works. The third thing we tend to do is to blame the credit cards company. As I mentioned before, I advocate for credit cards because it's just a tool to build your financial infrastructure. You want to be able to get a better credit score or one of the best credit score to allow you to pay less in interest when it comes to making a massive purchase like owning a house. You can save up to 200,000 by doing so. But this is if and only if you manage your expenses, you set up a credit limit, and you pay your balances in full and on time when they become due. So you will hear people say, credit card companies just want to trap me. It is true. They want you not to repay the balance because that's how they make money. They want you not to pay in full because that's how they make money. But by saying such thing, you literally hand over the responsibility of your finances to a third party, which is way easier than implementing the step that I just outlined. The fourth thing that we love doing is justifying any variation to the real issue. We sometimes know deep down that we shouldn't buy a certain item, but we do it anyway. We say something like, I probably shouldn't spend £15 buying this new pair of shoes because I don't need it. But it's nothing compared to the £15,000 I'm already owing on my credit card debt. Once the issue is significantly large, we rationalize any change to the overall debt as not material, when in reality, changes happen with small, consistent steps. The fifth thing we do is that we hide away from our debt. Most people don't even know how much they owe. If you ask your friend or your relative how much they owe in credit card debt, they wouldn't be able to tell you because they don't know. They genuinely don't know. They are too afraid to face the music. I understand. It is a scary exercise to pull out all your statements for each of your credit cards, adding them up to find out how much you owe in total. But there is power in acknowledging the issue and designing a plan of action. And the last excuse that most people use when they're in debt is that life happened to me. Life didn't happen to you because you were the one incurring those debts. Saying that you're just doing your best is not enough. You have to take control over your finances and designing a plan of action that will take you on the other side. The quickest way to get ahead in life is to spend less than you earn and invest the difference. We already discussed the strategies on how to manage your expenses. If you have credit card debt, your strategy should be spending less than you earn and paying your credit card balances with the difference, because you can't be investing when the return on the market will give you 8% while the credit card are smashing you with a 23% interest rate. It is counterintuitive. The only exception to that are mortgages and student loan, because if you have a good credit score, those interest rates will be far way lower. The first step in tackling your debt issue is to find out how much you owe in total and when is the date of your last payment for you to become debt free. Finding ways to get additional cash to pay toward your debt should be your main priority, because it will end up costing you less and you'll be able to repay in lesser years. That is the right approach to become debt free quickly. I have huge sympathy for people who do not understand how credit card works, and this is the reason why I'm shooting these videos. But I have no sympathy for people who know they have an issue and do nothing to fix it, thinking that the problem will magically disappear. Most people don't get into credit card debt overnight. It is a slow process. We often look like nothing in the beginnings, but 3 to 5 years down the line, you find yourself with a staggering £20,000 worth of debt. It can be overwhelming to get out of debt, but it's possible if you have a plan. The number one mistake people make with their credit card is not to pay their balances in full and on time when they become due. Credit cards company want you to make a mistake. They want you not to pay. They want you to pay the minimum so that they can charge the interest, because that's how they make money. The reason you find yourself unable to repay the balance is because you have spent more than you have earned. This is why you need to take ownership of your expense management and not blaming credit cards company for your mistake. I will repeat the strategy again because it's worth mentioning. Figure out your spending pattern. Look at your statement for the past 3 months and see how much you're spending. Identify expenses which are not worth it, which are not necessary, and cut them out. Then, when you know your monthly budget, you call your credit cards company. You change your current limit to your budget. Finally, you set up a direct debit or an automatic payment from your current account to your credit card so that monthly payment can happen automatically without you knowing when they become due and in full and on time. That's it. Don't just pay the minimum balance, because that's the beginning of a long-winded trap. Pay in full and on time. There is a triple effect of not paying your balances. Number one, you end up paying high interest on the balance that you carry. Number two, not paying your debt in time and in full negatively impact your credit score. So good luck securing a mortgage at an attractive interest rate. And remember, 30% of your credit score is composed of how well you repay your debt in full and on time. Number three, it can affect you emotionally, leading you to avoid opening your bills and your statement, and therefore causing more late payment and more debt. So don't put it off. Deal with it. And deal with it now. The solution is not going to magically appear. You need to take small action steps to mitigate the problem. Treat yourself like you are a person of value, and that means taking care of yourself and taking care of your finances. Managing your money has to be a priority if you ever want to be in a better situation than you are today. Thank you guys for watching. If you got tremendous value out of this video, please click that like button and subscribe to the channel to ensure that you never miss out on anything. I really appreciate the fact that you spend your most precious asset to watch this video. It would be a shame for it to go to waste. So please take some time during your week, during your day, over the weekend to apply some of these suggestions. Your financial situation will not improve by only watching, but by implementing what you found valuable in this content. Now, go take action.